Hey, Gary Baker here with PublisherReport.com. In today's video, we're talking about Amazon KDP categories. And the reason we're talking about those is because of this book right here. Of course, if you're new to the channel, I have created a complete playlist on how I created this book and published it on Amazon, so you can check that out. There'll be a link in the description as well as in the cards. But the thing I'm going to look at today is both of these books to make sure that they're in the right category. Maybe not the right category, maybe the best category, or the best category that we can get it in. But before we try that or attempt to get it into the best category, we need to understand a little bit about Amazon categories and book categories in general. So I'm going to walk through a little bit of that, and then I'm going to show you exactly some research that I'm doing for the two books, as well as how to contact Amazon to get your book into additional categories or to change the categories. So first thing I want to start with here on the screen is at Kindle Direct Publishing Help. And it's talking about preparing, publishing, and promote. Publish your book, enter your book details, and browse the categories. So it's very important to understand this, and you don't really need to get all self-publishing book nerdy if you don't want to, but you sort of need to understand the basic idea of what's going on here with categories, and that's why I'm making this video. So check out this page. Of course, I'll leave a link in the description. They have a video here. You should watch that video. Then you should understand why you're going about really figuring out which category is the best category for your book. It talks about here being accurate, being specific, and don't be redundant, meaning don't list your book in two categories that are really the same thing. Then it tells you about how to actually add or update your categories. We'll take a look at that. Then it shows you here where you can view all the Amazon categories, and you can do that for each marketplace. Of course, I'm focused on paperbacks in the US bookstore. So if I click on that link, it'll take me to Amazon.com, and it's going to show me all the books and all the categories. Now you're going to see here popular in books, more in books, textbooks. You're going to scroll down, you're going to see departments and books. You're going to see all of these categories. Now these are what are considered or called the Amazon categories, and these are the front-facing categories for customers, where Amazon has taken books and placed them in categories based upon the actual customer's preference or sort of their way of looking at books. So for example, LBGT plus books, right? Literature and fiction, sports and outdoors, teen and young adult. But if you were to go back to this help article and you were to actually look at what the category list on the back end, when you actually set up your book and you actually pick the categories your book belongs to, or you think your book belongs to, because sometimes you may think it belongs in a certain category, but really it belongs in a different category. And at that point, Amazon will take what information you've given them based upon the back-end categories, or what are called the Book Industry Standard and Communications Code, or the BISAC. And if you want to know what the BISAC is, and this is when I talked about getting kind of self-publishing book nerdy, you can check that out, link in the description to this help article, as well as to BISAC, or actually BISAC.org, which is Book Industry Study Group. And they have a BISAC subject codes FAQ here to include what BISAC stands for, what are subject headings. Again, you don't really need to know that information, but it's good to know if you're really going to get into the world of publishing, self-publishing specifically, and how Amazon is actually categorizing your books. Because BISAC has a complete listing, heading listings right here, and you can see these heading listings here, and you're not going to find everything that Amazon has, because Amazon has like 16,000 categories that they can put your book in, or that your book can be ranked in, or someone can find your book. And that's when you get into actually finding that little bestseller tag that you might be able to get if you position your book in the right category. So go ahead, check out these categories. You'll see they don't have as many here, but this is the industry standard when you're talking about categorizing books. So Amazon uses it on the back end to sort of follow the industry standard for book publishing, and then they allow you to actually contact them, and based on your own research, which I'm going to show you coming up here real quick, how you can figure out where your book best belongs, contact them, and then ask them if they'll put your book in that category. So with that, let's go ahead and jump inside of our bookshelf. And as you can see here, I'm inside of the Kdp Bookshelf, where you actually create your paperback or your Kindle ebooks. And what I want to do is show you the two books that I'm talking about. Of course, those two books are these two books right here. So let's go ahead and take a look inside of our bookshelf. Here are the two books we're going to be looking at. Of course, if you want to look at these, the best option here is just to come to View on Amazon, click on the marketplace that you're connected to or selling them in. I always go with US. I'm in the US. And then you can open up each one of these, and then we'll take a look at the categories. Because when I first put these books in, you're going to see what happened when I picked the actual back-end keywords and then how Amazon actually categorized it. One of them is in what I consider to be the right or the best category for this book. The other one, not so much. And I'm going to show you that right now. So here's the first book that we're talking about, and you can see up here in the breadcrumbs, books, children books, activity, crafts, and games. So of course this is counting shapes with robots. So if you scroll down here, you can see some more detail, and you can actually see that there's 3 categories for bestseller ranking, and that's in all books. Then it placed me in children's puzzle books as well as children's activity books. So you can see here the numbers for this book in each one of these categories. And again, that book is right here, and it's talking about counting shapes with robots. So children's puzzle books and children's activity books is probably spot on. I might be able to dig a little deeper and find one and niche it down a little closer if there is a category for actual counting shapes. That would probably be the category that would best suit this book. So we'll look around and see if we can find that. But the point here is you have to be doing research, and you have to be thinking about how Amazon categorizes your books, and then you have to be willing to send them a message and say, hey, I think my book belongs in this category. Could you please place it in that category? And of course, I'm going to show you how to do that as well. So that's the Counting Shapes robot book. The other one was Count the Robots. Now this is simply just a counting book, but the thing that they're counting, or the thing that the kids will be counting, are robots. But you can see here books, children books, science, fiction, and fantasy. So if I scroll down here and actually look at the product details, you're going to see the ranking in all books. Then you're going to see children's robot fiction books. Now children activity books, it is an activity book because it's counting, but I could see this book being better off in actually a counting category if one exists. Again, when I set this book up, I selected robots because I was thinking robots. So there was a robot section in the backside of the BISAC categories that I showed you inside the backside of your Amazon KDP bookshelf when you actually create your book. So this book definitely needs to be moved, because if I click on children's robot fiction books and take a look at this, this is actually storybooks about robots. My book is not a storybook. It is literally a activity book or a book for counting or how to learn how to count. So how do you go about finding the categories that you want? You simply come up to the search bar here and you start typing in what you think your book should be categorized in, or the category of your book, or how someone's actually looking for your book. So counting books for kids. And we'll go ahead and just hit enter on that, and we'll just look at this broad category or idea. And here you can see counting books for kids, and you come down and now you're going to be looking for a book that matches what your book's about. For example, Teacher's Pick, counting crocodiles. Then you have some toddler coloring books. You have Time Money, counting cars. Okay, that's a board book, but still, it is exactly what my book is about. It's about counting. Just keep scrolling down, and again, you're just looking for things. Now, if you watch that video series that I did, or that playlist where I actually built this book, Count the Robots, you'll actually see that this book right here, Count the Dinosaurs, was the inspiration for that book. So we'll go ahead and click on this one and see what categories this book is in. But there's one right here next to it that's intriguing as well. And you can see it has the bestseller tag on it. And you can see it is a bestseller in which category by actually just clicking on it and open that up in a new tab. We'll take a look at that. We're also going to take a look at Count the Dinosaurs to get an idea where both of these books live in the Amazon categories. So here is Count the Dinosaurs books. We'll scroll down and we're going to see where this is at. And as you can see, this is number 9 in biology of reptiles and amphibians. This brings up a good point that books can be misclassified by Amazon, but they can still rank very high in that category. And as you see, this one is number 9 in biology of reptiles and amphibians. But does it really belong in that category? Most likely not. But some people use this as a way to actually get that bestseller tag. Does it help? I'm not going to say it does. Does it hurt? Definitely, I would think that it does not hurt when somebody was searching, because you're going to have that little bestseller tag, and that tag is there by Amazon for a reason. Because people like to buy things that other people buy. It's social proof, and more people most likely click on the bestsellers when they have that little tag there. So that's probably not the one that I want to go in, definitely, because my book is not about reptiles and amphibians. But this one, Children's Questions and Answer Games Books, this one looks intriguing, so we'll go ahead and click on Open a New Tab. And really all you're doing at this point is you're just drilling further down in the categories. And of course you want to open up a spreadsheet and take note of this, or you want to take a notebook and write it down. However you do your research, or however you keep track of your research when you're doing it, that's definitely what you want to be doing here. So you'll see that we open that up. So you can see here, bestsellers and children's questions, answers, and games books. You're going to be able to see the actual rank here. You can also see the categories: books, children's books, activities, crafts and games, games, board games, questions and answers. So you can see here that if your book fits in this, then it's definitely where you should have it. But I don't think my book fits here, because this is more of an activity. I want to be more focused on counting. And again, we'll go back to the Count the Dinosaurs books. So while that book inspired my book, I'm not sure that those are the right categories, although they may work if I find nothing better. Specifically this one, Children's Questions and Answer Game Book, definitely not the reptiles or biology of reptiles and amphibians. So let's go ahead and take a look at the other book. Best Toddler Coloring Book, Fun with Numbers, Letters, Shapes. Now this is a full-on activity book. So we'll go ahead and we'll scroll down and we'll take a look at what category this is in. This is number 1 in Children's Canada books, number 1 in Adventure Travel books, and number 6 in Children's Coloring books. So really, again, these categories don't apply to my book. So we're back sort of looking for categories on our own to try to figure out where you think this book belongs. Because the whole point of this exercise is to really classify your book or categorize your book and have it classified for what it really is, to make sure that in the long term that it is in the right category, to see if you can honestly compete in that category. Maybe you can, maybe you can't, but in my opinion, that's the right way about doing business. So that takes us back to our original search, counting books for kids, and then we scroll down, and you're going to be able to see here you have the coin counting book, you have a counting book with chickens, and you keep scrolling, 10 little hot dogs. So we've been through all these. You can keep going, and what you're really doing here is you're just going through and you're just looking to see where your book belongs. Of course, like we saw this was the inspiration, but it really didn't give us what we wanted. So we have 1, 2, 3 animals. So at this point, we'll just keep drilling down to see if we can find a good category that we think is the best match. Now there are tools, paid tools that you can use to actually do this research and speed it up a little quicker. And I'm going to show you one that I have that I think is a good option here. The tool is called Publisher Rocket. You can see here on the screen, they actually have a category search function. You can just click on category search. And then when that comes up, you can see it has both ebook and book. We're focused on books. We'll go ahead and we'll type in counting. And as you can see here, you're going to get a lot of things that aren't what you're looking for. But one here that interests me is books, children's books, early learning, basic concepts, and counting. So I'm definitely going to take note of this. You can also click here to check it out. And it'll take you to the Amazon bestsellers for that category. Again, books, children's books, early learning, basic concepts, counting. So this may be the one I'm looking for. And you can see how easy that was when I actually used the tool. There are other functions in the tool. For example, the competition analyzer. And you can see here they have book and ebook as well. And you can type your keyword in right here. And you can say, go get 'em rocket. And you're going to see that it found the books that we've already seen in our manual search on Amazon. But what you can do is click Unleash the Categories. So now check this out. So you see that this tool has basically just shown me all the categories that I've been looking for, or that I would have been looking for if I'd have kept digging inside of Amazon, just manually going through book by book by book, or going down the trail of categories. And as you can see right here, children's books, animals, crafts, games, coloring books. Keep scrolling, basic concepts, countings, sizes, and shapes. Which brings me back to this book. We were looking for the good category, or the best category for this. How about books, children's books, early learning, basic concepts, sizes, and shapes? Because this book is literally about counting the different types of shapes. So definitely it could fit in that category and something I'm going to explore. So that's Publisher Rocket, just real quick so you can see that. Of course, there'll be a link in the description. You can check that out. And that takes me back to our bookshelf where we actually have our books, because we want to check out the categories. Of course, if you were to open this up and you were to edit this and go ahead and say edit print book details, that brings you into your actual paperback details. Of course, there's lots of things that can't be changed once it's published because it's tied to that ASIN number, and it just simply can't be changed. But when you come in here, you can see that the categories that I chose for this book was activity books and games and activities and puzzles, which I really don't think is incorrect. But what I want to do is have my book recategorized into those Amazon categories versus these categories that you see right here are the BISAC categories. Again, because you have to manually go through here and you have to try to find each one. And these aren't Amazon categories, these are the BISAC categories that we talked about at the beginning of the video. So how do you contact Amazon to get them to change this? You simply go down to Contact Us. You scroll down and you say right here what you're contacting them for. Then you just select a topic. See this topic here, Amazon product page and expanded distribution, update Amazon categories, and they tell you exactly the information you need to fill out and add and list all your categories right here. You do that and then you simply send them a message and they will take action on that message and determine whether or not your book or your books belong in those categories based upon their review. And then if they feel they belong there, for example, the counting book versus the shape books, even though they're both robot books, probably belong in two different categories. That's what I think. We'll find out what Amazon thinks because I'm going to do this for both of these books to try to get them into a better category, and I'll make a video update on that, so be on the look for that. If this video was useful, give it a thumbs up. Typewriter right here, click that typewriter, subscribe to the channel for more awesome videos, just like the ones you see right here. Click those, keep watching, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.